How about now? You're muted.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Your voice is a bit robotic, which is weird, but I'm sure it's fine.
Good afternoon, friends.
Yeah, we can hear you.
A very warm welcome to our Business Opportunity Over Chai. And this special edition Business Opportunity Over Chai will help you to understand the greatest business opportunity that Franchise India especially brings for you. Business Opportunity Over Chai presented by management team of Franchise India, Mr. Gaurav Marya, Chairman at Franchise India Group, and Ms. Sonia Chaudhary, MD at Franchise India Brands Limited. Every day, 12 o'clock, we launch a new brand to explore new business opportunities for you. So today we have invited a great iconic brand, Akiba Dori. To know more about this business opportunity, I would like to invite Ms. Venus, CEO of FranGlobal. Over to you, Venus.
Thank you, Harshika. And good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to our guests who have joined in from Dubai. So very, very excited. I know we are just starting off, and this is live on Facebook, YouTube, so I'll just start with some introductions and sort of bring in some context, and then we will spend good 30 minutes chunk on discussing the brand and the opportunity, and of course, what are the plans and the opportunity in the Indian market. So as my colleague Harshika mentioned, I'm Venus Barak and I head the FranGlobal business. So we are part of Franchise India, but FranGlobal leads on the international business brands and perspective. So if you look at overall franchising, especially if I talk about India, we have in India over 8,000 franchise concepts. About 15% of them are actually international brands. And 95% plus are actually under a master franchise or a master license structure. So master franchising and master licensing is the most preferred way for international brands to establish themselves in India. And that's where FranGlobal works. And we are very, very happy to introduce the brand for today, Akiba Dori. As from the time I spoke to Summer, got to know him and got to know about his brand, I really fell in love. I personally am a Japanese cuisine fan, but his take on Japanese cuisine, his take on Japanese culture, and then presenting it in such a interesting format, which I would call a specialty restaurant brand with very non-traditional concepts, and which again is not intimidating, very young, youth-oriented. Anyone can go and interact with Japanese culture, cuisine, concepts. So it's very interesting. I really like it. I fell in love, and it has been really interesting working with Summer since then till now, and very excited because before Corona, Summer, and I think we did discuss this before, Japanese concepts were growing at 60% in the Indian market, 60% year on year. So very high growth. And Japanese culture, cuisine has become a big part of our lives, I would say, especially in past 7 to 8 years. Now, if like today in the office, we were actually ordering sushi on our app, which 5 years back was just not the trend. So you can see that this particular concept, culture is really becoming part of our lives. And I think what you have done, you are actually serving Neapolitan pizzas in your concept. So it's just a very interesting take, very engaging. And I really see big opportunities, especially in India, especially in our bigger cities. So a city like Mumbai, a city like Bangalore, Delhi, where we are. I think here we have the real estate, we have the people, and we have this really interest in a brand like yours. So I'm very excited to have you here today, Summer. Thank you so much for your time. I know you have a very interesting profile. You're a serial entrepreneur. You have built this out of just your own, curiosity as well as your own gut. So very, very impressed with, what you have done. And I know you're building the brand in the Middle East, and you have given us the mandate to build the brand in India. So Summer, first of all, welcome. And really interested to hear from you. Okay, what was the motivation behind? Because see, Japanese cuisine, especially in Dubai, there are so many options. It's very competitive market. So what really led you to kind of engage with Akiba Dori, and where do you think the brand is after 5 years, and how would you like to sort of build it, especially in a market like India with us? Welcome, Summer, and look forward to hear from you. Summer, you are not audible. No. Dheeraj, can you hear him? Because I can't.
No, I cannot.
How about now?
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome. It worked.
I changed it. I changed it to, for some reason, I changed it to my, how it works, but that shouldn't be the case. But anyway. So anyway, it became robotic for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why that's happening, but okay. So the introduction. I'm really happy to be here, obviously. I'll start with the last question. When I started Akiba Dori 5 years ago, the reason I did still discovering its feet or finding its feet when it comes to Japanese cuisine. Everything there's super high end,
yeah,
and super expensive, or everything was. I wanted something in the middle, and nothing existed in the middle. I literally, through Akiba Dori, started a trend of modernized Japanese street food, and we're still the only ones that do the Tokyo style Neapolitan pizza, which is a very, very unique pizza product. I wonder, why is a Japanese restaurant doing pizza? And the simple answer is restaurant. We're not a traditional Japanese restaurant. I made Japanese food in the sense that you don't need to Google what a dish is. You don't need to have a sophisticated food and enjoy it. I wanted to share this culture and this food with as many people as possible. I had to change a lot of things. So we don't have Japanese customers. Although the ambassador of Japan did call me several times to thank me for spreading Japanese conversation. And I'm sure the same thing would happen in India once we...
I'm sure.
I wanted something that can reach as many people as possible and as possible without making anyone feel out of place or unwelcome. So if you came with a group who's a vegan, one friend who's a vegetarian, one friend who only eats seafood, every options on the menu. No segment is forgotten. And from almost 80% vegetarian and chicken based. So it's the most universal. And for a Japanese restaurant, that's not always the case. So I wanted to make it for people, even from a design perspective, it looks nothing like a traditional Japanese restaurant, which is why it's open, and this trend continues until today. People will come into the restaurant just to take pictures, cover the menu, because they think we're all about the look, but then when they try the food, they realize it's a very good product. Obviously, getting these things together, but after 5 years now, we're celebrating our 50th. You know, 4 branches in the UAE, 2 branches and 2 more opening in the UAE in the next 12 months. India, for me, obviously, I grew up in the Middle East. I grew up in Saudi Arabia and then moved to Lebanon, then came back to Dubai. Say half of my friends are Indian here, a good half, if not more, especially the Pakistani people. They always told me, you need to bring this to India. We had the opportunity with you guys. I didn't hesitate for a second, and we did get approached, but I never took it super seriously because I didn't feel like they knew what they were doing. And it's very important for me, for Sunrise, its potential. I mean, we are one of the most awarded, most popular Japanese street. In fact, we're one of the most popular F&B brands, period, in Dubai, which is a government initiative by the Dubai Tourism Authority, which promotes the best homegrown concepts, and we're one of maybe 40. You go to the music channels, you'll find an Akiba Dori channel. If you're flying on Emirates and you hear my voice, it might help put you to sleep if you're taking a long flight, so I recommend it. And you'll see a video also. So Emirates Airline does a lot of promotions and they shoot a lot of Dori. We've been featured in countless, Arabic movies, TV shows, design. So I guarantee you, if you were to open one and work on the design with me, I guarantee you'll have big brands, international brands. You might have some celebrities shoot. You might have some directors come in and say, we'd like to film in your space. And this happens to us with every brand you can imagine, from Dior to Gucci to Chanel to all the major buddies try to work with us at some point or the other. Nike, Adidas has worked with us. Puma has worked with us. So, it also helps that the first branch we opened, Design District. So all the design brands were there, all the big international fashion brands. So it's a very strong brand. It's an incredibly strong brand. It's 5 years in the making. It doesn't try to pretend to be a very, not nose in the air, fancy Japanese for everybody, well priced, and a very diverse menu. Pizza in Dubai, according to a lot of people and a lot of awards, which is a big statement considering 15,000 restaurants in the same city.
How many? 8,000. I didn't.
14,000 restaurants.
Wow, 14,000 restaurants. It's a very, very competitive Dubai market. It spoils you, actually. Samir, we lost you again. I think this was your headphones. I think it was your headphones. We lost you.
How about now?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm back now, yeah.
Yeah, you're back now. Samir, before you put up a presentation, I have just another sort of input from you. I think what you have created is a brand, I think, which is visually very uh, engaging and attracts people, and the food. So was this like a conscientious choice where you knew what you were creating, or this kind of you found this and this is what everyone will be seeing in the brand? Is every store different, or every store is the same? How does it really kind of, where it is, how it has evolved, and how do you see it kind of further going?
So there's two design directions for the brand, actually. The original design direction was to be influenced by the surroundings. So depending on the area we're in, we design and we work on the concept based on that. So for the sake of argument, let's say we opened in an art district, we'd have a lot more art in the design. If we opened in a fashion district, we'd have a lot more interesting fashion, either an element to it or inspired by the fashion around us. And then we have a second format, which is more for busy areas. When I say busy areas, like malls or airports or whatever it is. So from day one, I wanted Akiba Dori to be very visually pleasing. I built it 5-6 years ago for the TikTok generation, before I even knew TikTok was going to be a thing, where people can, people come in and shoot, like I said, all the time. And the interesting thing about the design is it doesn't follow the traditional rules of design. So most designers, when they see the place, they're like, this is all over the place.
Yeah.
But it works. It's super cohesive. And the reason I made it a bit abstract from a design perspective and non-Japanese is because I don't want people to get bored of the place. I want you to come and sit in a different part of the restaurant every time and feel like you're having a different experience, which makes a huge difference to customers. Right. So that being said, there are two design directions, or even three, but the main two are inspired by the location it's opening. So if you're opening near a bay or a harbor or something with a sea view, you have a lot more blues in the concept. You have a lot more of an open bar, open layout kind of space. If you're opening in a mall, it'll be the bright yellow arches from the art, which I'll show you now when I go through my presentation. Yeah. So there isn't one unique, identical design for every place, but you will never know, you'll never think you're not in an Akiba Dori. You'll always know that you're in an Akiba Dori, because there are some very significant, very specific design elements that are universal to the brand.
Right. I think I know you didn't started with this perspective, but I see that I think Americans have done this to various cuisines in the world, where they take a cuisine and they Americanize it and then take it to the world. I see, I think Akiba Dori, what you have done is you have this format can be taken anywhere in the world. I can see this. I can see an Akiba Dori in Kuala Lumpur. I can see an Akiba Dori in Melbourne.
That's the idea.
And the concept is like very universal. So I really like that you have done it from the very beginning, although the concept still has that room where it can be like, you can have that 15-20% innovation depending upon
100%
where you are opening and who you're doing with.
100%. Depending on the markets we're going into. If I went into Australia, I'd do a breakfast there, because breakfast culture and coffee culture is huge in Australia. I would do a whole coffee section that we would not normally have in Dubai, where people don't really want to sit down in a restaurant for coffee. They want to go to coffee shops. So it has to evolve based on the market it goes into. And the beauty of working with the founder directly, with me directly, is I'll be open to a lot more things than your typical franchise organization would be open to when you have very stubborn team running it. So, what I care about ultimately, like I said from the beginning, is to democratize Japanese cuisine. To do that, you have to be open to fusion, right? To evolving. And the reason our pizza is amazing is because we use Japanese flour, and it's a very unique Japanese dough technique. And if you go to Japan, although ironically, I've never been to Japan, but that's a different conversation.
Always wanted to.
I know. It's ridiculous. But that's why I put my fantasy into the concept. The Japanese flour we use to create this dough is so light and so unique that even Italians come and have it, and they really have a difficult time saying that Italian pizza is better. It's like what the Japanese did with whiskey.
I know.
They made the best whiskey in the world. Which is crazy. Who would have expected that? And they've done the same thing with pizza. They're just perfectionists. And I sent Luigi, my pizzaiolo, our chief pizzaiolo, the head of the whole pizza department, if you will. He went to Japan for 6 months to learn how to make just the dough. just to make one marinara and one plain cheese pizza in 6 months. It was crazy. I mean, the attention to detail. So obviously I'd like to evolve this. Obviously I want to work with partners that see the potential. Akiba Dori is potentially the next Wagamama, the next Yo Sushi, but on an elevated level. And these are all massive brands. And I'll tell you what happened when Wagamama became big. Every single franchisee benefited from the brand going public. So when Wagamama was listed on the stock exchange, every single person, every single owner, every single operator of every franchise got early access to pre-IPO shares, and they made a fortune from the whole planet, even though they weren't operating in every city. So the opportunity for me, it doesn't stop at just opening the restaurant and making money off of your P&L. It's also where the brand could potentially go with the right leadership and the right kind of financial direction. And I have some very big financial gurus on my board. So that's the ultimate goal. Maybe we won't get there, but if we do, it'll be a very spectacular conclusion.
Let me tell you, your vision, Samar, and your clarity, and of course your ambition, something which I connected with the first time I spoke to you. And I think, today there's a very big convention happening in Las Vegas, IFA. And there the CEO of McDonald's actually just spoke. And he said, what an individual cannot do can be done with the power of franchising. Now, I mean, someone who is running more than like 35,000 stores through franchising is saying that. And so I think the format is ready with the power and of course intelligent use of franchising. This can be built in a meaningful way where a value creation happens. Now, as you mentioned, value creation, once it starts happening, it can come through the network effect. It can come through an acquisition or of course an IPO. And I think to hit that pivot, of course, this is the starting point for the brand. And we are excited if we can get this brand to some really good location with great partners in the Indian market while you build this in the Middle East. Although I do believe the brand is ready for even bigger markets, but I think
we're going to the US. We're looking at the US. We have a meeting next week actually with
which markets in US?
Well, specifically now in the Northeast, so Boston, New York, New Jersey. So yeah, so we are in talks with a big group there, and we will be taking it forward hopefully. So this could be in North America in the next year, which would be fantastic.
That's great. Exciting things happening with Akiba Dori. Now let's share it with people and bring up your presentation so that people can get a visual idea how the brand looks.
Sure. Okay, I actually, for some reason, I don't have my share screen option. Do I need to?
No, you should be at the bottom of your screen. Can you see it? Green button?
No.
Because I think you're joining in from the web browser, right? You're not joining.
Yeah, I'm joining from the web browser.
So, Dheeraj, I think, can you play the presentation?
Sure.
So, Samir, Dheeraj will share the screen, and then you can do the commentary, if that's okay.
Sure.
Oh. Dheeraj, you need to do the full screen.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's not in full screen yet, is it?
It's the full screen on the you see the tab.
Yeah, I see it.
Because we are all panelists here.
Okay, perfect. So it says here established 2017 because that's when I created the brand, although we opened the first location in 2018. So I'm just going to talk you through the kind of brand and the logic behind it. So if we go to we're going to go to the next slide. If just give me a couple of seconds. Yeah, there we go. So the concept, if you go to the next slide as well, Dhiraj. The idea with Akiba Dori is, first of all, I'll explain the name. So it's inspired by an area in Tokyo called Akihabara. So Akihabara was very famous for its electronics shops. So my concept, my inspiration from that is, I'm a big video gamer. So obviously from video games. But the main idea behind Akiba Dori, calling it Akiba Dori, is Akiba is the short name for Akihabara. So like calling New Delhi, just calling it Delhi. It's the same thing. So Akiba is short for Akihabara, and Dori literally means street. But the reason I called it Akiba Dori is because I wanted to trademark this brand globally. So that's why it's called Akiba Dori. So it's trademarked worldwide. And I have the .com and I have all the socials. So it was a very strong name to own. And the idea is it's a non-traditional Japanese restaurant. So from a design and menu perspective, you walk in there, don't expect to come in and find 50 kinds of sushis. You're going to find 8 to 10 maki rolls on the menu. The rest of it is street food. We make one of the best chicken katsu curries in Dubai. Like even by Wagamama standards, they tell us it's one of the best. So moving on to the next slide. The power of Akiba Dori is the storytelling. And when I say the storytelling, I mean, besides my story personally, the story behind Akiba Dori is the realization that there's a global need for an affordable luxury Japanese concept. When we say affordable luxury, I mean it's high quality, high-end food, but at an affordable price point. So you're not going to get this value anywhere in Dubai with the competition. A similarly positioned restaurant in Dubai that has 2 branches now, the average spend per person without alcohol, this is a non-alcoholic place owned by a local Emirati kid, where the quality is nowhere near our quality. They use the cheapest cuts of meat versus what we use. Even their chicken is different to the chicken that we use. Even their vegetables are all frozen. We use fresh. So completely different ball game. And they're almost 40% more expensive than we are. And the food is not as good. So the idea is, I like to create concepts. I like to develop brands. I had very strong nightlife brands in Dubai that were among the most popular in the history of the city, like the Republic and Stereo Arcade. Stereo Arcade closed 3 years ago. They still write about us in the media. So just to give you an idea of how strong, when I build a concept, how far I push it. So the story is what makes Akiba Dori interesting. Is it born out of a need in the market by somebody who used to do nightlife? So the competition, the combination is pretty interesting. So going on to the next slide. Just a little bit about the brand. So we opened in April 2018, end of April, so effectively first week of May. It's inspired, like I said, by Akihabara, which in my mind I fantasized it as being a back alley with all these neon stores left and right, and that's what the first one looks like, and that's what a lot of the independent outlets look like. It looks like you're walking on a street. So Dori means street. So it feels like you're walking on a street, but nobody's going to believe they're walking on an indoor street. So I made it ridiculous. So there's lights, some characters, there's either a coffee shop or an arcade or a bakery or a sushi bar or a bar or a pizzeria or a DJ booth, like a radio station. So as you're walking down the street, on your left and your right, you have different elements that bring the street together. So if you can imagine you're on a small, narrow street anywhere in the world, it could be in Mumbai, it could be Delhi, it could be Bangalore, it could be Beirut, it could be Dubai, on a narrow street with little shops on your left and your right, with just the windows almost. That's what Akiba Dori was inspired by. So it almost doesn't matter which city it goes into. It has to be inspired by its surroundings. That's why I said the design changes depending on where it goes in. So we can move to the next one. I'll walk you through the locations. So Dubai Design District was our first location, which opened in 2018. The second one that we opened was Pavilion at the Beach in JBR. So you can see here the design changes as well. It's more like a nightlife place because it is more of a nightlife location. Then the next one after that we opened is in Dubai Hills Mall. So this is the outlier of the group. So the mall version of Akiba Dori will always look like this because you're in a mall, you're surrounded by big international brands. This location in Dubai Hills, we're surrounded by Wagamama, Sushi Art from France, which has over 500 locations in Europe, Shake Shack, and 2 or 3 other mega international brands. And we're the busiest place in the mall because of how attractive the venue looks like. When you're walking from the parking garage or you're walking around the mall and you see these arches, imagine we're the only restaurant in the entire mall that doesn't have a signage at the top of the location. We don't have a single sign at the top. It's just these signs, and people still fill up this place. And we're talking about 140 seats in the mall. So after this, we also opened a location on the beach in Abu Dhabi in an area called Yas Bay. So we did a totally different neon explosion design. So, you know, these cages, we have the bar, we have a DJ booth. We always have music. We're very big on music. So our music is synth and retro wave. So it sounds like something out of Blade Runner or Tron from the 80s, but it's done in a new way. So you very much feel like you're on the set of a movie when you're in Akiba Dori. I mean, it's unbelievable. The amount of videos people have shot in this place is unbelievable. And after that, we did some franchises to Saudi Arabia. Oh, these are opening soon. So we have one in Galleria in Abu Dhabi, which is opening in a couple of months. And then we have another one in the next slide in Sharjah. So Sharjah was normally the forgotten emirate because there's no alcohol. It's alcohol free. But we're opening an incredible location in the most futuristic part of Sharjah, like the most high-end boulevard in the whole city. And we're opening it by September this year, September or October. And then after that, we did some franchises. You can go past this one, it's okay. Franchises again. We opened in Jeddah in 2021 in December. So this has been open, it's a franchise. And then we also opened Riyadh the year after in 2022 on the boulevard in Riyadh. Now this is a seasonal location, so it only opens 3 months a year. That's how it's part of something called Riyadh season, so that's how we're doing it. And if you go forward, we have some more exciting locations opening up. We're opening in a food hall. So Akiba Dori does have a food hall version, just for you to know, in case you have a food hall coming up. So we do have a food hall version of Akiba Dori, which is mostly the street food. So it's super small, super concise menu, but obviously doesn't have the same economic impact for the operator as a full service restaurant. And then after that, we're opening as well in the Octagon in Neom. So this is one of Neom, Saudi Arabia's big mega projects. It's effectively the biggest port in the Red Sea. And we're opening it's going to be one of 25 restaurants, and there are around 10,000 people that'll be living in this project. So, but this is years away, but these are things that we've committed to and we're moving forward with. So that's where we are in terms of that. So I'll take you through the food a little bit. So Japanese street food and Tokyo-style Neapolitan pizza. So when we say Tokyo Neapolitan pizza, it's Tokyo-style Neapolitan in the sense that if you go to New York City, you have New York-style, which started off as Tokyopolitan and developed into being a New York slice. You go to Chicago, you have the Chicago deep dish pizza. You go to Detroit, you have the Detroit-style pizza. So this went the other way. So this went from Italy, instead of going to North America, it went to Asia and it went to Japan. So if you go to the next slide, just to talk you through a little bit. So this is just a very simple example of the kind of dishes that we have. Everything from black cod, which is served at Zuma and Roca and Koya, which are super high-end, super expensive places. They sell those for around $100. We sell ours for $33. And it's the same identical fish. We have something called an XL chicken katsu, tonkatsu, which is one of the biggest plates of chicken you'll ever see in your life. And it's just an incredible dish. We have we say the best in the city chicken katsu curry. We obviously have maki rolls as well, rock shrimps that rival some of the best in the world as well. I mean, we have some pretty dramatic feedback on the food overall. So we are food first. We are food led, not just design. So the food is just it's better than the design in my personal opinion. So you can go to the next slide. And this is where it gets interesting. So it sounds really weird to have pizza at a Japanese restaurant, and it's probably the only restaurant in the world that does that. So we use a Japanese flour to make the dough. It's a 26-hour proof dough. It doesn't have semolina, which a lot of pizzerias have. So you know that really full, heavy feeling you have after having your typical Domino's. None of that exists at Akiba Dori. You can finish an entire pizza and go have dessert, which is not a single pizzeria in Italy can say, because they fill it with yeast and semolina. We don't have any of that stuff in our pizza, which is just an incredible product.
Oh, yeast somewhere in the pizza?
It's literally like a Japanese bran powder that we put in there instead of the yeast. So you don't feel bloated ever.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So you can go to the next one as well. We also make incredible desserts. So we have a very small dessert menu. It's only 5 items. But it'll be very difficult to decide which one you want to have, to be honest with you. It's a very small but very powerful dessert menu. So you can go along. That's it. So that's basically, I mean, that's more or less the presentation in a nutshell. I have a more detailed presentation that we would share, obviously, with anyone that's interested, that has, you know, the breakdown on costs, the breakdown on budgets, on expected number of staff per. So we have a lot more detail. We have a world-class franchise manual that we've prepared. So our franchise manual was made by the same guy who did Paul Café's franchise manual. So it's literally one of the best you can find. I mean, I've shared this with people who, including the owners of McDonald's here, and they were super impressed by the quality and the versatility of our franchise menu. So whoever decides to, you know, give Akiba Dori a try and say, listen, I'm going to take this as either a master franchise or a single franchise or whatever we end up doing, you will have tremendous support from us. One, from a franchise manual perspective. Two, from a training perspective. We have one of the best training programs of any franchise I've ever come across, because we do the training in Dubai. Okay. And your team become part of our team while we're going through the process, to make sure that, you know, everyone is 100% on board and understands the values of the brand, understand how to make the food. And from a content perspective, we have incredible content from the last 5 years. So the cost of setting up is much lower than most than I would say most franchises that have this much potential and this much scale opportunity.
Sure. Samar, just give me some sense on, you have done franchising partnerships in Saudi Arabia, which I would say is cross country. Now, let's look at a market like India. So are you looking at a partner who can do, let's say, the whole country for you? Or although I believe that it might make sense to have someone who can give us a great location or locations and start up a market for us. So what is your, and you have already sort of started franchising, you have your own stores. So just give us some sense of, what kind of partner you're looking for, what are your expectations? So accordingly, people can judge if it would be right fit for them.
Well, first of all, the thing I care about the most is the operator. So I'd like to know, again, I'm not going to come say you need to have 10 years of experience or 5 years of experience or even 3 years of experience running a restaurant, because I started with no knowledge of this industry 15 years ago or 14 years ago. Someone had to take a chance on me to say, this kid knows what he's doing. Maybe he can build something. And as long as someone has opened at least 1 or 2 restaurants and they're still running, or maybe they weren't successful, but that's fine also, as long as they've learned a lot along the way, I'll be able to vet. And I think with your help also, who the more serious operators are. So the most important thing for me is the operator. Do I see us signing with a single franchisee for the entire market? I see that as a bit difficult, because we didn't even do that in Saudi Arabia. So we went with separate operators in Riyadh and Jeddah, purely because I don't want to put pressure on one person or one group to have to meet the expectations and our expectations are not crazy. I'm a very long-term thinker. Like I said, whoever works with me has always made money. Every single person that's ever worked with me in the last 15 years has made money, because I will push something to where I want to push it. So if the ultimate goal is an acquisition, like you said, or an IPO in the future, that will be my single-minded focus personally. And I've rarely been in a situation where I couldn't deliver. So my objective would be, honestly, to get the right operator on board, and someone who understands that they have to also be proactive in the business. So I'm there to learn as much as they are. That I'm not going to come dictate terms and conditions just because I think that works in Dubai. It might not work in Bangalore, but it might work in Delhi. I know I have to separate India into districts, right? So I know. Maybe everyone in the south has a different palate to people up north, certain things. And this is a fact of life, right? So I can't come in and assume that I know the entire market, because I don't. I know what's trending in India. I know what people get excited about. That's easy. It's research. But having someone on the ground with the experience will definitely make life easier for us. And we're always there to work together to get to a point where one operator can take a city and be like, we're going to take the city, we're going to give you a development plan and take it from there.
No, I think that makes sense. That's how you create value. And we have those kind of people in India now, where, they own multiple locations. I think another part of this which needs to be there with the partner profile is real estate. I think
Of course.
Akiba Dori will be only be there at top real estate, whether it's mall or high street. I think, and India offers both kind of options. So we have great
Yes.
high streets as well. We have great malls as well. So I think you would partner needs to have that ability to be able to
Secure
acquire
location.
a location like that, which I know is not the easiest thing.
But it's for their best interest, right? Ultimately, if
absolutely.
they get the best location, you put a brand like Akiba Dori in the right location, it can make a ridiculous amount of money. I can tell you.
I agree, because the brand has that levity that you of course would do dinner and drinks, because in India summer you would do alcohol. I think your food will do well with a wine or a beer.
Of course, we have amazing cocktails. We have one of the best cocktail menus in the city in Dubai. Because 3 of our locations
very
are
big
licensed.
Yeah. So I think with alcohol and the food, I think the brand has definitely dinner, but lunch as well. And as Samar mentioned, you can do nice brunch maybe on weekends. So yes, I think
we even do business lunches because, in some cases we're in a business district. So we do very quick service, very low cost business lunches, and we're super competitive. And we do a kick-ass dinner as well. So
nice.
Not to mention delivery also. So our food delivers incredibly well. That's something to keep in mind.
And is that becoming a big? I know you are very destination and you are a very visual brand. But how's the delivery looking like? Is this growing? And you see that being a good chunk of the business?
Well, there's 2 things we do, so which is very interesting for anyone taking the franchise. Besides Akiba Dori, we also have virtual brands that can come out from the same kitchen. So we have 2 virtual brands that can be delivered from the Akiba Dori kitchen using the exact same ingredients, and they're purely delivery only. So one is Akiba Sushi, which is a pure sushi brand, and one is something called Lean Mean Cuisine, which is like a healthy version, healthy Japanese, vegan, and vegetarian kind of a delivery only brand. Very small menu, 10 items. So I don't personally push delivery too much because the aggregators take too much money.
I know.
I'm not a big fan. And people love to come to the restaurant, but there is always the opportunity to make some incremental revenue from.
I would say Akiba Dori is a retail, very destination kind of a brand.
For sure. 97% of our sales are in-house. 97%.
So that's what we are not a cloud kitchen brand. We are a very destination brand. Although the brand has a lot of levity in it, that it can include and get sort of minimum like localization, which is relevant to the market. It would be in India would be a premium proposition. We would not be a mass. I see this as a premium fast casual brand. With drinks, you can come and have a beer with some light food. You can have dinner. You can even bring family. So I think
100%.
It's still and again right now really we don't have that in India. I mean, with Japanese restaurant, because I love the food. So it's either delivery now or I go to, of course, a 5-star restaurant. And then there now are some restaurants, Japanese restaurants as well. I think you are somewhere which kind of intersects between the modern menu and the Japanese menu. So, I don't mind there for 2 to 3 times a month.
Yeah, we started the trend in Dubai. I'm telling you, 5 years ago when we opened, there was nothing like Akiba Dori. Now there's nothing really like Akiba Dori, but people have tried. But it's not easy to copy a menu. I mean,
right.
It's not easy to copy a menu or a vibe. It's
and the founder. I think it's a very founder-led brand, and people invest in founder, whether it's startups or brands. And I think Samar, you are a great founder, and I think even though you've spent 5 years building this, you have a vision of next 5 to 10 years, and I like that.
For sure.
And I think we would love to speak to people here or anybody who's seeing this later. I think ideally you should at least have some demonstrated capability to, even if you don't have a big hospitality background, at least real estate. I think if you are able to have real estate capability, with Samar and his team being in Dubai, I think I know in India you can acquire some good talented people. That's not going to
Exactly, as long as 100%.
So that's what we're looking at. Our main cities in India would be 100% Bangalore. I think it has one of the best
For
cities
sure.
in India. Very cosmopolitan, great weather. You can even have seating outside and not just in the AC. So
Just not in there.
Bangalore,
Yeah.
Mumbai for sure, because it just is again very large and it has a very big demand for Japanese concepts. Although getting a location is going to be challenging.
It's very difficult.
And Gurgaon and Delhi. I think these are the locations we are predominantly right now looking for. Hyderabad for sure, because Hyderabad has such a big connection with Dubai, and I know this for a fact that once I start, getting this brand out in the market, there would be some feedback coming from Hyderabad. So these are the 4 or 5 top markets for us, and we look forward talking to you. I think you have that information. And Samir is also there. So we are working with Samir and his team to figure out, entry into India. As I mentioned, it's not complicated. We are not looking, you don't have to be a Reliance to kind of engage with the key.
No.
We are looking for someone who are business, you're from business family, second, third generation, understands, the specialty cuisine part of it. It's not a quick service brand. Although
it's not. And it's a cool brand. All your friends are going to want to be there. So
correct.
Yeah.
And Hitesh, we will share. So Hitesh, we will share with you once we are able to speak to you. We will share the details of commercial. Once we are able to kind of understand if this is going to be the right choice for both of us. Financials are, of course, at a unit level, but as Samir mentioned, I mentioned, ideally we would want, if not more, a multi-unit developer, because the investments from your side and the brand side to kind of open up is going to be very heavy, especially in the initial days. So
we're very cost light. Also, just to interrupt for about the costing. It costs almost half to build an Akiba Dori as it would to build a Wagamama at the same size, if not less than half. The reason for that is we use a lot of sustainable materials. We use a lot of wood. We use a lot of we don't have specialty material. We don't have some crazy requirements. If I tell you how much our kitchen costs, you would be shocked, because I've never spent more than $60,000 on the full kitchen, including the pizza oven from Italy. Your
which
typical
is very expensive, about $15,000, $20,000, right?
50, yeah. The oven usually alone is 15,000. So
Correct.
Again, we're very cost effective, very cost efficient. Again, Dubai is super expensive to build in. It's super expensive to build in Dubai, and we still managed to do it at record numbers.
Great. So I think, and what would be a typical ideal size of the store?
Anything between 1,500 square feet up to 1,500 if it fits enough seating, up to 3,000 square feet. So 150 to 300 square meters also could be a.
So very affordable. I think that's a great area. 1,500 square feet is a reasonable area to ask for carpet. And I think if you're saying that it takes $60,000 plus the interiors, I would say, I think in India, at a 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, you should be able to put up a good restaurant under $200,000.
The Dubai Hills Mall restaurant that you saw with all the yellow, everything, including the design fees to our designer in Spain, including the kitchen, including the fit out, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, the whole thing, I think cost around $390,000. The whole thing. So, and it's 3,200 square feet.
It's a big restaurant. You said, I think 140
people. 3,000, so 300 square meters for $400,000 in Dubai.
Right. So I think
Hitesh has a question about the sales.
It's a good number, especially for a fast casual. And this
it might be cheaper in India. I don't know. But we don't have crazy requirements. It's a super simple menu. You'd be surprised about. The menu is just a handful of ingredients. We don't have specialty ingredients. We don't have crazy import requirements. So the kind of sales we did after COVID, Dubai is a very unique experiment in COVID because we only closed for 6 weeks. We were profitable in 2020 as a business. So we actually made dividends in 2020. So even with COVID, just to answer your question, Hitesh.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Summer, I think this was like just a teaser to let our people here and otherwise know that Akiba Dori is here to do business. And
Yep.
FranGlobal team will be engaging with people after this as well. And
Okay.
what we really request everyone here and people who would watch this later is you can reach out to us here or on our social media handles. What we would want to do is we want to know more about you. Of course, share what we are looking for and see if this is a fit. If it's a fit, we will organize a meeting like this with you, with Summer and his team.
Absolutely.
And again, as Summer mentioned, it is a founder-led brand. And that's what I really enjoy in franchising.
And I'm always around, so.
I know, and you're very approachable, you're very smart. And I think because you have grown up in multicultural people, so I think you are very comfortable. I've seen you not getting intimidated with the cultural differences. So I love that. So,
I don't have a culture. I'm a third culture kid. So I'm from everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
That's great, Summer. So thank you so much for your time,
Thanks
Summer.
for your time, everybody. Appreciate you being here.
And we look forward to work with you, build the brand in India. Right now, we have nothing like it in the country. And I think can't wait to get this so that at least I can be your customer.
Perfect. That works for me.
Okay. Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Have a good day, everybody.
You too. Back to you, Harshika. Harshika, you're there?
Yes. Thank you so much, Venus. Thank you so much, everyone, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you, friends, for hearing us out. Please do join us on Naya Saal Naya Business. We are doing our evening series, Bharat Franchise Show. Today, we are doing a lifestyle brands evening sharp at 7 o'clock. You can reach us to know more about this business opportunity on our hotline number 9717683838. You can also write us on feedback@franchiseindia.in. You can also connect to the LinkedIn IDs of Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am referred to the slide. Thank you everyone for joining this webinar.